people, a man and a woman are dead after being hit by a motorist along the Floresville Glasspool Highway in Kingston this morning. Reports are that around 6:30 a.m., a male driver was traveling along the roadway towards Harborview when he lost control of the vehicle, striking the two pedestrians. The vehicle also overturned on the road. The man and woman were later pronounced dead. The driver was taken into custody and a breathalyzer test was administered, which returned a negative result. He is reportedly facing a charge of manslaughter. The driver was previously charged for breaches of the Road Traffic Act. People, them say, when you think of peace and safety, a sudden destruction. Can you imagine the man and the woman they on the road about them business? Here comes a motorist, lost control of his vehicle. You hear me I tell you, and collided in the two pedestrian. Seen? Now them dead, him in a police custody. It rough. Me always tell a man this, you see, anytime you left your yard and you find out say you reach back at your yard safe and sound, do me a beg you, give God thanks, because enough people left their yard each day hoping to return, and remember them never return. Yes man, some from the hospital to the dead house, and then 9 nights and funeral after. May their soul rest in peace. Driver, your corner dark. Trust me, I cannot help you and I don't know what to say to you. But the only thing me can say to you, when you get bail, or if you get bail and come back on the road and able to drive a motor vehicle again, please don't ever lose control of your vehicle. From what you hear them say, the water system, something wrong with it. Them say the water no good. Me hear some people say all filth in the water. That mean them say doo in the water, people. Jesus have mercy. The water, the pipe water me I talk about. Anyway, some claims were made and them say a false accusation, and the people them will make the claims come back now to come clear up the air again. So please watch and listen.
Good morning to our viewers on Facebook and those viewing us live on TikTok. I'm Nikisha Burchell, the Deputy General Secretary of the People's National Party and Information and Public Communications spokesperson for the opposition. Thank you so much to the members of the media who are here with us this morning for not just another press conference, but for an SOS alert for a national attention to be pointed at our health sector. Our public health system is in crisis, and the lives of ordinary Jamaicans are being placed at risk because of neglect, delay, and misplaced priorities. Our spokesperson for health and public wellness, Dr. Dawes, will speak to you about what's happening at the Kingston Public Hospital, a hospital that is itself sick. Jesse James Clark, our junior spokesperson on health, will speak to you about troubling issues related to water quality affecting communities across Kingston and St. Andrew. Remember, when Jesse sounded the alarm and the government said it was not true? We have the evidence today. In the face of public health crisis and collapse, is the ministry's real priority to safeguard the lives of the Jamaican citizens? Where is the Minister of Health in all of this? Is he at sea searching for replacements for the Cuban doctors whose terms have expired? The People's National Party is raising these questions not to score points, but to demand answers for the sake of every Jamaican who deserves proper health care and clean, safe water. After all, we are the land of wood and water. Over to you, Jesse James Clark, to speak to them about the water quality.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jesse James Clark, and I'm the Junior Shadow Spokesperson for Health and Wellness. I'm also the chair for the Public Health and Sanitation Committee for Kingston and St. Andrew. No concerns were raised to us in our committee meetings about the quality of water in sections of Kingston and St. Andrew. And that is what prompted us to do a tour of several water treatment facilities in both in the corporate area and in the rural and some of the rural water treatment sites. We have seen results that are quite alarming, and we brought it to the public because we felt that not much was being done to make the public aware of the risk that they were being exposed to. After I brought these results to the public, I was accused of bringing false information and telling lies. However, I just want to highlight the results that we have here today that are projected on your screen. And I want to point to you first, look at this graph. What the bar chart, what is it showing? It's showing what the levels of coliforms should be. And just for everyone, coliforms, these are organisms, bacteria, aka germs, that are found in feces and also found in soil, and they are indication of the quality of our water supply. Now, the red line going across the bar charts running from your left to right, this is what the standard should be. So you should not have any of your coliform limits going above this 5% that you see that red line is connected to. However, if you realize for Kingston and St. Andrew, they are right at 5, and the yellow bars indicate distribution. So that means after the water have left the plant in your pipes, that's what it is. And this is suggesting in this case that there's something happening along the line after the water has been treated, because before it's okay. However, when you look at what is happening in our rural water treatment sites, it's very clear, as you can see from the graph, and this is NWC's results, by the way, that you have at source, which is that blue bar, it's almost 5 times the allowable limit. So you have 5 times the amount of germs that should be in the water presently. And these are coliforms, which means that you have very bad water quality after the water was treated. Because at source, this is at the plant when they have brought the water through their treatment process and tested it to see if the treatment process had worked. And you see that it's way above the allowable limit. And knowing this, the water was still distributed, and you have in distribution where it's almost 3 times the allowable limit, where it's at 17 in the yellow bar and for the rural communities. Now, this is not just a one-off situation for the month of February. For the rural areas especially, this has been consistent. And we understand why you'll have this consistent bad result or poor water quality coming out in the rural areas after our visit. The water treatment, we're not saying that you'll be able to do all the steps that you do at your major water treatment facilities, like a Constant Spring. But even in rural areas, you still have to take some measures to ensure that the water is safe for consumption. So, for example, at your regular water treatment site, the water goes through several processes. For example, it goes through flocculation, which is where they add chemicals to bind with those fine particles that might be in the water, so that they can become heavier and settle out. You have sedimentation, which is where the heavier dirt particles settle and the water is basically clarifying the water to make it clear. And then that sedimentation the clear water is removed. It is filtered, and it passes through several different filters, whether it's sand of different size filters, to ensure that they remove any residual viruses, organisms that might be left back in the water. And then it moves from there to disinfection, where you have your chlorination taking place. However, in the rural areas, we're not saying that you have to do all these steps. However, filtration is a must. And this is one of the infrastructure upgrades that has to take place at our rural water treatment sites to ensure that the water is safe. Also, we're recommending that they install temporarily, they can use black tanks, or what we Jamaicans call black tanks, or water tanks, and temporarily to have holding areas for the water in the rural areas so that it has enough contact time with the chlorine before it's distributed. You cannot be getting results that shows that you are having poor water quality at source and you're still distributing it to the public. Another major concern for us is how the Ministry of Health came out and said that the environmental division in the Ministry of Health, they came out and said that the water was safe for consumption in Kingston and St. Andrew. But at the same time, the NWC is producing results to show that it is not safe. So I'm now saying to the Ministry of Health that you need to get your house in order, and we need some accountability as to why you were saying that the water is safe when NWC is saying that the water isn't. NWC has also since then admitted that they're having challenges in the rural areas, and they have also admitted 6 days ago on their Instagram page that they have found samples positive for fecal coliforms. And they said that when they have instances of that happening, they will flush the line and they'll cut off water supply. And I'm asking the persons in rural Jamaica if that happened. And we want them to now come and apologize for their misleading information that they have been given to the public, and for trickling out the truth bit by bit. I'm also asking the journalists present here with us today for you to do your own fact-finding mission and get the results from the NWC. But not only get the results, I want you to visit these rural water treatment sites and let them show you the process of treatment that the water goes through, and you tell me if it's up to standard. Or the minister with the responsibility for water, and also the minister of health needs to come out and ensure that we are getting the steps are in place to ensure that we get good quality water in Kingston and St. Andrew. Also, we'd also want to make the recommendation to the National Water Commission, similar to how we get the results from Petrojam about the pricing of fuel each week. We'd want them to publish their results. And if they're having issues in any particular area, they need to let the residents know the areas that will be affected by the poor quality water and what has been done to correct those measures, and when it is safe again for the residents in these areas to consume the water that is being released. We have no issues with the staff at the National Water Commission, because after my visit and tour too as well, I understand you have a very difficult job and that you're given basket to carry water most times. So I'm also advocating for the staff at the NWC to receive the necessary gears, compensation, and resources to ensure that they can get to these remote sites and collect the samples, and to also upgrade these sites so that they can do their job properly. They cannot do what they don't have the resources to do. So the minister and the Ministry of Health needs to be the one that is overseeing the NWC and protecting us, the consumers, and to ensure that they stick to the standards that are there for them to be, for the water that is being produced by NWC. So once again, I just want to point out the inconsistencies between the results coming from NWC and the results coming from the Ministry of Health, the environmental unit, and they need to answer to the public and to Jamaica at large for that. And we need the NWC to come out, and anywhere else on the island, don't wait on us, or don't wait on us to come out and to say it. You come out and tell us all the other areas on the island that you're having water quality issues and what is being done to address it. In this case, we understand you have to do some infrastructure upgrade, or the results from your rural water treatment sites, they will not improve, and filtration is a big step. Thank you very much.
To be honest, myself and my team, we did not know that things were this bad. Where we warned up a collapse, we didn't know that the system was actually collapsing in front of our very eyes. The latest storm or hurricane to hit the healthcare sector is the mold crisis at the Kingston Public Hospital. Now, as far back as last year, October, November, there were concerns about mold in the clinics. A study was done, and because of the GLP's response every time we make a claim to attack us and call us liars and purveyors of misinformation, we are making the reports publicly available so that Jamaicans can see for themselves that an independent subject matter expert has confirmed that there is a mold crisis at the Kingston Public Hospital. They have moved out the clinics from that area, downscaled the size of the clinics and house them in a separate room. But the problem still exists. The pitch patch work that took place at Cornwall Regional Hospital when that mold crisis first came to light about 9 years ago is the same sort of work that is taking place at KPH today. On top of that, there was a recent expose of the operating theaters not being functional because of the air conditioning units not working well. This was downplayed, but we did see that the 4 operated theaters are shut down now at the Kingston Public Hospital. And what has happened is that in that moist environment, mold is growing in the operating theaters. Again, this is being downplayed as something that can be fixed. But we know the track record looking back at what happened at Cornwall Regional Hospital, and we are very fearful that the same thing is going to happen at KPH again. We as a nation cannot afford for that to happen. We have 2 Type A hospitals serving Jamaicans in the public healthcare system. Cornwall Regional Hospital is basically non-functional. Kingston Public Hospital has been the only Type A hospital in the public sector that has been carrying the brunt of all of the trauma, all of the specialist care, across the island while serving the needs of the Kingston metropolitan region. Now, with KPH being downsized, it is a crisis affecting not just Kingstonians, but Jamaicans right across the island. Surgeries have been cut, understandably, because you don't have an operating theater. They're on emergency surgeries and dire emergency surgeries only. Dire emergency means that you're going to die. And so you have to rush the patient to theater. If you have an emergency and you're not going to die immediately, then you wait until you become a dire emergency. Unfortunately, there are people who are patients who are admitted at KPH now who will never make it to an operating room. They unfortunately are going to die waiting to receive service. They have tried to outsource some of the more urgent cases, cancer cases, at the University Hospital. It has been a logistical nightmare. They're not getting half as many cases as they would have liked done. They're trying to do some at Bustamante Hospital in another piecemeal approach, but there is no coordinated plan to see how you're going to get surgical services up and running. There are some crucial surgical disciplines that we cannot afford to fall off completely. One such service is neurosurgery. With Cornwall Regional Hospital not having a fully functional neurosurgical service, we're left with just KPH, and now KPH does not have a functioning neurosurgical service, which means that if anyone, anywhere in Jamaica, gets a fall or any head injury, they are in serious danger of dying on something that could have easily been fixed with surgery. Do not feel that the University Hospital can shoulder the brunt of all of the trauma, all of the complex cases that are currently being sent for their management. They cannot. One type A hospital in the entire Jamaica cannot serve a population of almost 3 million persons who are getting older, who have chronic diseases and get a lot of strokes, heart attacks, and we do have a high rate of motor vehicle accidents as well as violent trauma. So when you put all of those factors together, taking out Cornwall Regional out of the public healthcare sector, and now taking out KPH as well, we are in a serious crisis mode. We cannot pretend as if it is business as usual. We cannot paint up a building and say that renovations are taking place. We cannot say that this was something that was inherited. We have to take decisive actions now.